years in every corner of the food and hospitality industry, from cheese making to launching a nationally acclaimed restaurant, Milktooth, to co-founding a farmer's market, to producing an award-winning festival, Baby Got Brunch. Currently, she's focused on holistic wellness of the Indianapolis food scene. She has helped small business owners through pandemic recovery with a one-on-one consulting pro bono program. She is active in local groups and events, particularly those promoting food justice and equity in the restaurant community. Although her path has evolved, her mission has remained the same: to cultivate a more positive and equitable food culture in Indianapolis and beyond by lifting up marginalized voices and supporting women and underserved communities. Please remember to remain on mute during the presentation. There will be an opportunity for Q&A and discussion at the end, and feel free to post your questions in the chat so that we all don't forget about them. It's all yours, Ashley.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. First of all, I just want to apologize if you hear my dog barking. I just got a new dog, and so I didn't quite think this through. So she might be barking in the background, but hopefully it won't be too disruptive. And so I am just going to share my screen and we can just have a casual conversation. I'd love for you guys to comment in the chat and ask questions. Feel free to ask questions anytime. We don't have to just save it for the end. And then I will let you guys moderate the questions if there's something that comes up that you want me to answer right away. So thank you for that lovely introduction. Hopefully that gives you a little snapshot of what I do and where I've been. I have been in the food industry for over 15 years and have done just about everything you can imagine. So cheese making, yes, being a pastry chef, opening a restaurant, opening this farmer's market, and now I'm really focused on consulting, working with, I like to work with women in the industry and people of color, and just basically consulting with their existing business, or if they are looking to open a new concept or pivot or restructure or whatever it looks like. I kind of jump in there and help each client figure that out. So a lot of times it looks more like coaching than consulting, but that is what I'm currently focused on. So the Garfield Park Farmers Market, let me go ahead and just maximize this screen. So I don't know if you guys can still see me while I'm talking, but hopefully that works out. So Garfield Park Farmers Market, we've been around, this will be our 7th summer season coming up this year. So we incorporated in 2015, opened our first market in 2016. We became a nonprofit in 2017. We've always operated with a board of directors and different committees and volunteers. And I was an original co-founder with Julia Woody, who has since moved to the Northeast and started her own farm out there. So being an original co-founder, and we have quite a few board members that have been with us since the very beginning as well, which we're very fortunate for that. So we've been around for 7 years. We just opened our first winter market this past winter. It was a very interesting process. I think that vendors were looking for more options, and certainly something on the south side of Indianapolis. So we decided to go ahead and open that. It has been, like I said, very interesting. It's been harder to get the momentum than we would have liked, but I think we obviously all have a lot of barriers in front of us with the pandemic still happening, and it's just hard to open a new market. So it takes time to build your brand, it takes time to build your customer base, and certainly over the holidays, it's just hard to get people in the door. So, but all in all, I feel like it's going pretty well. So yeah, so Garfield Park, we are nestled in downtown Indianapolis, just on the south side of Indianapolis. It's the city's oldest park, and we're really excited and lucky to be partnered with the Parks Department in various ways and get the support of the city for this market to happen. Basically, we've seen this market grow from, I think we had a total of 27 vendors in our first inaugural year. And then that looks like maybe a daily average of like 15 to 20. And it has grown to almost 67 vendors and an average of about 35 per week. So we operate every week through the summer, May through October, Saturday mornings. I would say that we are definitely more of a community event. We are a food-focused market, but we are also focused on bringing the community together. So we're really excited to be in the park and be outside. And certainly through the pandemic, that was an advantage for us to be outdoors. I'm not sure about some of the other topics or if you guys have really discussed, markets during the pandemic, but we can certainly talk about that because it was a rough ride for us. We were really lucky that we were just able to remain open and open safely for the community and provide fresh food for everybody during that time and expand food assistance programs like SNAP and FreshBucks. So our mission is to support local sustainable farmers and producers while creating a gathering place for community interactions. So primarily we are focused on food vendors only, producer only, so no resellers. And if something is related to health and wellness, that is allowed, but we don't allow craft vendors or artists. So food-focused market. And we also want to create a gathering place for community. So we allow partner vendors, community organizations, other nonprofits that align with our mission to come in and vend or talk about their programming, just talk about their organizations. So we do about 3 or 4 community vendors every week. And I feel like there's definitely room for more. So that's always been a successful part of our market as well. And I think that also lends to a lot of cross promotion as well. So we're promoting other organizations that do good in the community. They're promoting us by attending the market. And it's just a really good synergy with that. Okay, so I'm here to talk about marketing. I do not have a degree in marketing. I actually don't even have a college degree. So I've tried 3 times, but I have always found for myself personally, for me, what works is just getting into the industry that I'm interested in and getting experience that way. So I have had a lot of marketing experience with my restaurant Milktooth and different organizations that I've started, and then this farmers market as well. So I've always been sort of the lead on marketing and social media, but we do have a marketing chair in our organization that has a full committee. So and I kind of work in conjunction with that person. So basically, I want this to be conversational too. So feel free to unmute and jump in. And I don't know if I can see all of you at once. Let me see if I can. I wanted to ask like show of hands, but I'm not sure if I can do it with my share mode. So maybe put in the chat or something, or raise your hand if you guys manage social media or if you outsource that.
Amy. I think Amy unmuted.
Okay. All right. Just kind of curious.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. And Christina, I can't really see who's raising their hands or who's unmuting at this point since I have my.
Yeah, there's a button. Can you see the chat? So we have a variety. Some manage their own. One market has a communication team.
Great. Yeah.
We have one market that uses Twitter because their audience uses Twitter a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So yeah, that sounds like a pretty
So it sounds like there's a handful that have volunteers, but most are doing it on their own.
Okay, so similar, and I know every market is organized differently. So sometimes you'll be under an umbrella of another organization. Sometimes, maybe you're not a nonprofit. So maybe you are and you really utilize a lot of your volunteers. We have found what works best for us is someone who's kind of leading the brand of the overall organization, which is me currently. And then we delegate tasks to creating content or posting on social media or writing for newsletters, that sort of thing. So we rebranded actually in 2019 and showcased that in 2020. A great time to start a new, an updated brand, but we've been going with this new branding for a while, and I think it really just kind of simplifies across the board for us. So we have a lot of different assets, and I would definitely recommend that you guys assess where you are with your assets. So making sure you have all different formats of your logo that's easy to send out. Everything's easily accessible. We work with Google Drive, so everyone has access to the same content. We use Canva. If anyone's using that, we use Canva to create our a lot of our assets and marketing materials. We use MailChimp for newsletters. And for any scheduling apps, I don't currently have one for the market, but I like Later. And that's works really well with Instagram. So social media platforms that work for you. I am just a believer in do what works best for you, because personally, all I can handle is Instagram and Facebook. So, you know, if that's just what works for me, and I integrate it all really, really easily. But if you like Twitter and if you feel like your audience is responsive on Twitter, that's great. But just kind of figure out what works for you and your organization and how you guys are set up. And then find what systems work under those platforms. So like I said, Canva, MailChimp, do you do newsletters? Are you direct mail? Are you more marketing to a specific community that isn't on social media or doesn't have access to the internet? So I think that to be able to communicate really efficiently with your vendors and your customers, you have to really get to know them and what works for them as well. So we do 2 different newsletters. We do a newsletter to our vendors every week, and then we do a newsletter to our customers. And I think that's really great because it keeps us in touch with both sides. And as you all know, you're running this market for the community, but you're also running it for the vendors as well. So, you know, sometimes you have to have things that look a little different. So I also would encourage you guys to invest in your brand. So we decided to budget for that and do a full rebrand. And like I said, we have you know, a pretty robust access to our assets and different marketing materials and how they all integrate. And then it really kind of like cemented our messaging as well. So I would definitely invest in promoting your brand. Okay, let's see.
I have a question, Ashley.
Yes.
So when you say invest in promoting your brand, were you able like to pay a marketing company, or are you depending on like board members and volunteers to help you out?
Yeah, so we didn't, you know, and like I said, every organization is different. So we actually didn't have it in our budget to pay like a full marketing team. So we kind of had to piece this together on our own. We did pay for the rebrand part of it, and part of it was a donation to our organization. But we just work with our marketing committee on developing all of the assets and all of the content. And then between me or any other volunteers that we have, we push that out. So if you can write that into your budget, if you can write a grant for specifically for marketing, you can outsource that. And I think that would be great, but you really need to have your brand kind of fully comprehensive. So if you're not sure what kind of different logos you need, or kind of what works on different platforms, maybe get some help and invest in just getting to know how all of that works together. Does that make sense?
Yes. Do you want to check some of the comments?
Yeah, let me see here.
So Mandy uses Band messaging app. Are you familiar with that? Or we can have Mandy share.
Yeah, Mandy, I'd love to hear about that.
We just use it for day of communication with vendors if there's an emergency, and sometimes that's not even helpful. But even if, we have a community event at that moment, I send a little reminder that day saying, hey guys, don't forget to talk to the patrons that we have WIC here today, or we have live music on the stage. This is a nice way to communicate instead of walking around, which I know face-to-face is great, but sometimes we don't have time to talk to every single person. So that's kind of helpful.
That's awesome. Yeah, we haven't checked out Band yet, but we just, we text everybody the morning of, and our market manager, Hannah, is really in good communication with everybody. So, but that sounds like a really cool idea.
So feedback, there's another message. This was from Mandy. Other vendors have shared that you do a really great job in promoting vendors. So what's your approach to promoting vendors? How do you implement that?
Yeah, so I feel like it is extremely important. Not only, like I said, are we there to provide fresh food for the community and this community experience, but we're really there to help promote the vendors and to help our local food economy, right? So I focus a lot on promoting vendors, and that can look like asking them to provide some content for our newsletters. So whatever they have going on with their farm or their products that week, or any specials that they have, or just anything they want to talk about, ask them to submit content to us, and then we include that in our newsletter. I can also pull some of those graphics from the newsletter and post that on social media too. So that works really well for me and Hannah. And then always repost and reshare what vendors are up to. So I'm always making sure that like once a week, I'm kind of on top of the vendors' social media and on their websites, and just kind of, making sure that I know what's going on with their business, their farm, their family, keeping in touch, and sharing anything that seems like it is important for the community to know, or just that they would be curious about. And so definitely get your repost app going for Instagram and Facebook, feed that directly to Facebook, and just talk about them and share their stories. So I love being a storyteller. And I think that people come to the market a lot of times because they feel like they know the vendors personally, or they know something about them that makes them want to support them and be a loyal customer. So share their stories, talk about why they're doing what they're doing, do farm visits and farm tours so that you can get to know your vendors better. And all of that kind of leads into like building your own brand. And so does that answer that question?
I think so. We had a comment that one market manager, Jenny, found that the network, that FarmSpread has a networking platform that is particularly helpful. I don't know, Jenny, would you like to share a little bit of how FarmSpread's networking platform works? Because I'm not really familiar with that one.
So FarmSpread is actually a management tool, and you can pay to utilize it. But from a vendor standpoint, whenever they go to apply, the market will create like an outward facing profile, and you list all of your market applications on that profile. So let's say I work for Minnetrista. Let's say that we have 3 signature events that are more like festivals. And then we also have 2 farmers markets. They can see all of our applications, and then they can also see any other markets that are nearby. So if they're coming to Minnetrista's landing page to apply to the farmers market, they would also see Yorktown Farmers Market application. So it is kind of like a cross promotion, as long as you have other nearby markets that are utilizing it, obviously.
Okay, well, that's a cool platform. And that one also collects data, and you can track vendor sales. You can do quite a bit on FarmSpread, so it's definitely worth your investment.
Yeah. I think it also has like an online storefront. We're not 100% into that yet, but that's another way to cross promote, because then anyone who gets on to look for an item specifically, they can see in that individual store if that item is available, or they can find like products in other stores that are nearby.
Okay,
So it also cross promotes for the guest.
that's kind of cool. Okay, thank you, Jenny. There's a question for you, Ashley. They have a hard time sharing posts on Instagram other than with stories.
Okay, so sharing posts from other vendors, make sure that you are downloading a separate repost app. And you might have to play with there's a few different ones in the app store. So just make sure that you have a separate app for that. And you can always feel free, I'll put all my information in here. Message me if you guys have any questions, no matter, you know, how small they are. I would love to help you guys figure that stuff out, because it's a lot. Managing all these different applications and these platforms, and they are always changing. So it's just a constant learning curve. So a lot of growth edges with that.
So here's a question for you. Do you use a platform to manage your accounts? Because I know there are different ones. Someone shared Hootsuite. I'm familiar with Hootsuite. There's just been a share that Sprout Social can help you. How do you approach it, Ashley?
Yeah, so I've used Later for other clients before. And currently I actually don't have any scheduling applications. So I just I do this on my own. I know what works for me and what times I like to jump on and post things. And I think that's okay. Like I get very overwhelmed and overstimulated by having too many different applications or too many things to check. So for me, I sit down when I know that I have the time, and I will even post like 5 or 6 posts back to back. So, maybe that's not great for the algorithms. Maybe that's not, good for people when they're scrolling through their feeds, but it's what works for me. So, and until we get maybe some more people on the marketing committee or more interns, like I said, you have to just do what works for you and what works best for where you're at. So full disclosure, I volunteer my time for this market. And so, managing life and being a single mom and my business and clients. So I really have to just kind of do what works for me.
So I do have to share that Ashley's really good at recruiting student volunteers. So developing good relationships in your community. If you have community colleges or universities nearby, they may need community projects, and that'd be a great way to get your volunteers, right?
Absolutely. So UIndy, the University of Indianapolis, is just south of Garfield Park. So we have been kind of slowly developing a really good relationship with them over the years. And they do a lot of public health is a lot of their focus with that university. So we will often partner with the professors and get interns. And so I love having interns that can help with content development. So they can do little write-ups about vendors, they can do interviews, they could do some farm visits and do write-ups with that. They can create graphics for you, all the things that just take a lot of time. So yes, I love having interns. It does take time to develop that program though. So make sure that you have time to interview your interns and develop that programming and then train them.
Or guide them.
Yes, absolutely. So I see a question, how often will you post?
Yeah.
So I would say once our newsletter comes out to the public, usually Wednesdays or Thursdays, I will pull content from that and start posting on Thursday or Friday. I post our vendor lineup. I post things that are happening at the market that week, like music or any special programming. So usually like around 7 to 10 posts come out later in the week. And then, obviously during the market, I try my best to post stories and repost other people and making sure that I'm keeping up with comments and liking other people's posts and all that good stuff. And then I kind of slow down at the beginning of the week. But if there's anything really important that I want to talk about with partners, sponsors, anything else going on in the park, that's usually a good time to kind of work on more of the community aspect of our brand. So just a couple key points here. It does take time to build your brand. I mean, I feel like it's it's constantly evolving. It's like it's a living being. So definitely like invest time when you can, but get yourself set up for success and reach people where they're at. So like I said, maybe some of your customers don't have access to broadband. Maybe they're just not on the internet. You have to kind of reach them where they're at. So making sure that you're putting up flyers in community centers, kind of go old school, put up yard signs. We did a billboard 2 years ago, which I don't know if I do that again. It was pretty expensive. It was up for maybe like, was it just over a month? It was really cool to see it up, but probably we won't be doing that again. But if you can afford it, absolutely do a billboard. It catches a lot of people. Also, just I think one of the key factors to your success is just making sure that your voice is really genuine. So, I know it's tough when there's a lot of turnover, when there are people stepping into your organization who may not have been there since the beginning. I am very fortunate that I'm one of the co-founders, and that my voice is carried through social media and marketing. But I think that you just have to make sure that that person is genuine and knows the heart of your market, basically. And then leaning into partnerships and customers. So not only are you reposting vendors, but repost customers. Sometimes they take the best photos, honestly. So I really lean on customers' content and partnerships. So anyone you're partnered with, any sponsors, making sure that they have all of the assets that they need to post about you guys, and that you're cross-promoting those partnerships. All right, so do you collect data about how people hear about you? What is your favorite way? I like just asking folks, how they've heard about us. But it's really hard to collect that data unless you're putting out a poll or something. So when people step into the market, I usually just ask them like, oh, is this your first time, or how did you hear about us? And that kind of helps me. Okay. Can you all still hear me okay?
Yep, we're good.
Great. Okay, so moving on, here's just like a little screenshot of our Instagram, just some examples. So, I like the trifecta of posting about produce, about pets, and kids. And I think that if you can sprinkle in posts about any like kids, babies, anything fun going on at the market at any time there's like pets or any like cuteness happening. And then of course, beautiful produce and floral always gets the likes. So make sure that you're, focusing on content. So you'll see here that I've got, our vendor lineup for the winter market. We've got a post for Black History Month and all of the different Black-owned farms that you can find around the areas. And then, but we've got some beautiful content sprinkled in there as well. So definitely mix it up. Okay, have you ever worked with local influencers for the market promotions? Yes, I invite influencers to come to the market all the time. Some are just friends. Some, I've just kind of reached out to on social media. And I mean, you can offer things, you can maybe do giveaways or something like that, but certainly getting folks to come to the market that can heavily promote you and they have a lot of followers, definitely reach out to them and see if they want to, if you can give them a tour of the market or something. Okay, so Instagram starting a page for a farmer's market. Can you give me a few pointers? Yes. So first of all, I think you want to assess if your followers are on Instagram or are they primarily on Facebook. And feel free to unmute yourself, and I'm sorry for my dog. But unmute yourself if you want to talk more about it, and talk about your market. But yeah, I mean, I think that spend some time collecting your content first. Create some graphics if you can, get some pictures together, kind of figure out what you want to say. And then you can go ahead and post, 10 to 20 posts to get it started. Making sure it's linked to Facebook and everything will be good too.
We have a Facebook page, and I went over to Instagram thinking that we had a page for Instagram, and we don't. So I'm just trying to figure out how to link them two together if I can, or if I need to start my own page on Instagram, or
Yeah.
a farmer's market page, I should say.
Yeah, definitely. I think it sounds like you probably need to start a new one, making sure that you can have the name that you want for your Instagram page that links to your Facebook. But yeah, start the Instagram, and then on the back end, whoever is the admin on Facebook can help you link those two. It's really complicated though. I mean, to be honest, they don't make it easy for us. So
Actually not.
So there is a tool, really quickly, it's called Business Suite, where you can link your Facebook and Instagram, and Business Suite is Facebook's tool to connect the two together. I'll
Mhm.
pop it into the chat. So I know it's a bit of a nightmare, but I found that I've used Business Suite and kind of got it figured out. So
yeah,
if you can find someone techie to help you walk you through it,
yeah, that
Thank
would be my suggestion. Yeah, it is difficult, and I actually manage 7 different social media platforms for different clients and different groups that I run. So yeah, I'm just constantly inundated with problems with this kind of stuff. So it's not easy.
do you want to share about Canva, Ashley?
Yeah.
Do you use Canva for your posts?
I use Canva all the time. They have amazing templates. It's free for nonprofits. And so you can upload all of your branding assets, like all of the Pantone or hex code colors that you're using, the different fonts, different logos or pictures. And then they have all kinds of like a million templates that you can use. Once you kind of get acclimated to the website, it's pretty easy. So I even create stuff on my phone with it sometimes. So Hannah, our market manager, actually uses that a ton to create the newsletter content. And then, like I said, I will just go in to the newsletter and pull those graphics and plop those right into stories. So we have a good thing going with how we work it all out, so that we're not spending so much time creating content every week. But yeah, Canva is great.
The nice part about Canva is once you've uploaded logos and pictures or your basic content, it's always there and it's accessible to anybody who's on your team. So it really makes life easy.
Yeah, and it takes time to create all this kind of stuff, but once you have it and you have access to it and it's readily available for you or for interns or employees, it'll just make your life so much easier. So this is the billboard that we had up for a little while. And I am just obsessed with this branding. This was done by Matinee Creative, a local creative agency here in Indianapolis. But they just really understand, what we're trying to do and our mission and who our audience is and what works for us. So if you guys have creative agencies that you can work with, I think that they really help. We all have so much going on in our brains all the time, especially if marketing isn't your only thing. So, creative agencies can really help synthesize your messaging a lot. Canva does have a free version. You won't get access to everything, but and you can't share it with multiple users, but if you're not a nonprofit, I think they do have a free version.
They're not necessarily that expensive for for-profits also, because they'll run specials. So it's always a lot less expensive to purchase the yearly rate. I found that it was really affordable when I was starting up my own nutrition business. Obviously, it's a lot cheaper for nonprofits, but
Yeah.
look into it. I do need to warn you that Canva is owned by an Australian company, so their customer service is not the best, but it's a really great tool to use.
Yeah, I have not, Mandy, I have not posted directly from Canva before. And, you know, maybe I could look into that, but no, I just download the graphics that I need from my phone and have that available just on my phone or on my laptop. Wow, how much does a billboard cost? A lot. It cost a lot. I was shocked. I mean, we had actually two or three billboards up, I think, at once. And we dropped maybe $5,000. So we thought it would be a good investment. And I think, you know, it probably did bring lots of people to the park and to our market that hadn't seen it before. So, okay. Oh, Lise has posted directly into stories from Canva and it worked great. So I might have to look into that. Okay, so just a couple little screen grabs of some of our Instagram feed. And so one thing that what I already mentioned was kind of that trifecta of like posting about people, posting about your produce or floral, and then of course always like pets and dogs. I mean, maybe you guys don't have outdoor markets, but that's always really fun and people are always really engaged in those kinds of posts. And then the rest is kind of saved for just information sharing, stuff about WIC when they come, and you know, other partners that we work with. So I started a series last year called Humans of the Market. And feel free to steal that hashtag. I think this could be a fun thing across Indiana. But so I just randomly will approach people at the market, socially distanced, of course, and ask if they want to be featured. And if they do, I'll just take a quick little picture of them, get their names, and then just one or two quotes from them. So I think it's a really good way to highlight, you know, the people that are supporting our market and who doesn't want to be featured on social media.
Can you check out if I got your hashtag correct?
Humans, I think it's Humans of the Market. If you guys go to my page, I think it's Humans of the Market. I was inspired by, there's an Instagram account called Humans of New York, I believe. And so, and it's just some little like vignettes, little features. And I just think it's a great way to showcase the kind of amazing people that we have come through the market and how diverse we are. And I really think that's important to show people. You know, I think that in the past, farmers markets have, you know, maybe not reflected the diversity of the communities. And I think people get the stigma that it's just too expensive, it's not affordable food, which we're always trying to dismantle that perception. So
Amy shared their hashtag.
Clovers Love Local. That's so cute. Yeah, I would recommend coming up with like 10 or so hashtags that you can use on a regular basis. Mad Farmers Market. That's really
From
good.
Madison. Yeah, she's in, it's the Madison Farmers Market.
I like that. I like that a lot. You know, if it gains traction, you know, maybe your customers will start using those hashtags and then you can pull content from that as well.
I will download the chat and share. So
Cool.
you can go back and track what everybody said.
Great. So I also want to share with you guys, I feel like it's super important to use your platform, using it to be an ally, to speak up for your community, I just think it's so important all the time, but especially over the last few years. We're now in our third year of this pandemic. We've had a lot of social unrest. I think the community is really begging and asking organizations to just speak up and say what they stand for, basically. And being a farmer's market, we're here for the community. So we have to stand up for them, and we have to stand up for the people that we serve. So, I believe that everyone deserves the right to have access to healthy, fresh foods. That's why we focus a lot of our budget, and we invest a lot in marketing to SNAP recipients and people in the WIC programs and senior vouchers, and making sure that they know that they can come to the market and it's a safe place for them, and they can use their food assistance dollars there. So we need to be an ally, and also create some good policies around behavior and expectations of people at the markets, and especially vendors. So I won't name any vendors here, but we did actually have to remove someone from our vendor lineup in 2020 in the summer market because of their unacceptable behavior online, and what the kinds of things that they were saying did not align with our mission of being inclusive, being anti-racist, and all of that. So we felt like it was the right thing to do to remove them from the market. So I think it's important to stand up for what you believe in, and to make sure that the community knows that you're really there for them, and you respect the diversity of the community. So use your platform, be an ally. Okay, so let's see. 3 takeaways: take care of your community. And that's always a focus of ours. It's like the biggest part of our mission is to take care of our people in the community and surrounding neighborhoods, and making sure that people have access to food, and to community events and organizations and information. Oftentimes we will have people come to the market and register people to vote. All these things are just really positive for the community. Use your platform to promote others. So like I said, promote other organizations, promote other markets, promote your vendors and people that you're involved with. And then make sure that your voice is genuine. So just be unapologetically genuine. And I mean, I don't mind being cheeky online, and maybe it offends some people, but I think it's fun. So yeah, be as silly as you want.
I like that. I do have a question for you. When you're posting pictures of children, how do you handle that with regards to release forms?
Yeah, so here, I'll stop sharing here as I'm done. So obviously, if you're gonna take a picture of anyone's child, you have to, make sure that it's consensual, that they are aware that you're posting of them, where everything, that is associated, where it's going. And you have to just get that consent. Verbal consent, I think, is fine. And then I always make sure that I, get their number or something, or know how to contact them on social media to send them the picture directly that they can use, or if they need, if they have concerns and they want to reach out to us. So
that sounds good.
Yeah, and I think that just having some common sense is really great too, to for example, if we have days at the market where WIC is there, I don't feel comfortable posting a lot of, families and children that, may not be comfortable with that if they're feeling a certain way about attending the market that day. You just want to be respectful of people's, privacy and their space. So use common sense when it comes to that kind of stuff.
There's a question about boosting posts. What's your take on that?
I mean, I don't, you know what? I don't boost a whole lot. I personally feel like it's a little bit of a waste of money unless you have something really specific, like you are fundraising, you're trying to sell tickets to an event, something like that. But I feel like the algorithms of all these platforms change so much. It's really hard to tell like what's going to gain traction. I used to use like a minimum of 10 hashtags per post. And then over time, I was like, I don't really see much of a difference here. So, but I think boosting is really beneficial. Like I said, if you're trying to sell something directly or promoting something with a partner.
Yeah, I was just gonna say boosting seems to help if you're promoting types of programs and trying to get people more like subscriptions and bringing your audience to your programming as opposed to outward pushing, which is to get people to attend a market or something more public. I'm sure you can use that money in a more cost-effective way, maybe.
Yeah. So all in all, I mean, we don't just focus on social media. We focus on, we focus a lot on kind of like direct to consumers. So sometimes we've done, door hangers and flyers around at local businesses, billboards, yard signs. We make sure that we know who our local media outlets are and know their deadlines for articles and content, and know how they like to receive that information too. So, just to establish some relationships with those local outlets and have a good relationship there. So.
Really quickly, Ashley, this is really good. Back to the boost. Have you seen increasing the number of posts? Does that correlate to increasing the traction? It's like the more you post, do you see the more you get likes and shares, or?
Not necessarily. Sometimes the more you post, if it's back to back, sometimes those posts can get hidden. So, I think that that tends to work for me. Like I said, it's just kind of like what my pattern is, my routine. But I think if you can post like once a day, I don't know. I mean, it's really up to you. I know people that like to post 2 to 3 times a day. They really only post like towards the market day when there's a lot of information to get out. But I would recommend probably spreading it out a little bit more, doing 1 a day or a couple every other day, something like that.
Great comment. Make sure and like each other's market pages. So yeah, let's support each other.
Yes. Yeah. I am a big proponent of all of these markets everywhere across the state, but especially Indianapolis. I feel like there's so much more room for us to communicate and share resources and, just help each other out, because especially after these last few years, it's been really, really tough. And so I've really leaned into my community of other market organizers to kind of just answer a lot of questions, figure out what the best practices should be, all of that. So.
Oh, there was a comment that at her market, vendors all end up posting on Friday. Mm-hmm. So then that floods the news feed. And then in that case, they probably also get lost. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of resharing going on at that point in time.
Yeah.
Any advice? I mean, how would you handle that? Or do you have a strategy for that?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of just pick and choose. So you certainly don't have to repost everything. Stories is different. If you want to, I would repost any story that someone's tagged you in. And because you can always go back and put those in highlights and stuff. I would just kind of pick and choose, and then make sure that you're spreading out the love week to week. So if you feel like you're constantly reposting these 5 vendors because they have the prettiest content, or it's just easy, or you like what they say, just make sure that you're giving that same attention to other vendors. who maybe they're not on social media and so they don't post anything, make an effort to get photos from them, text them to send you pictures, or take pictures of their product to keep that in your back pocket for posting later. So I know it's harder when you have a lot of vendors, but at the end of a season, I think vendors really will appreciate you taking the time to share about their products and their business. Even if it's just a picture of them at the market vending at their table.
That's a great point, because that's good relationship building
Mhm.
with your vendors, and it's just taking a picture of them, and posting.
Yeah.
Kat shared that they only share in stories, and it's okay to flood those on market day or the previous afternoon.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. Flood your stories because people will just click through those. But on your actual feed and what you post on your walls, pick and choose, making sure that there's like a good selection of everything. You're diversifying your feed. You are representing a lot of different people and different products, and making sure that your feed reflects your community.
Well, we're slowly coming up to the end, so if anybody has other comments, please drop them in the chat, or if you feel like unmuting and sharing.
I'm just leaving my number in the chat, you guys, so feel free to text me or call me if you have any questions. Also, I'm gonna leave my email. So I think I got that right. Okay, so yeah, are there any other questions, or do you guys have anything to add? Anything that maybe I've missed, or something that you're doing that's unique?
Yay.
Great.
So follow Steuben County Farmers Market. I think everyone's on Facebook, so I think if we can start liking each other's page, then we'll be able to keep up with everyone and see all the fun things, the great things that are happening across the state. So
yeah, and like I said, I'm not an expert. I don't have a marketing degree. I just care a lot. I care about the happiness of our vendors and their success. I care about the community, and I think that I try as often as I can to share my heart about that. So,
yes, Gina, that's definitely the definition for a market manager.
yeah. All right, guys.
Oh, Jenny commented that they're using Facebook page for, is it an organizational page? And then they just post about the market that they run.
Mm.
Do they need their own Facebook page, like farmers market Facebook page?
I think it just depends. I mean, I think that you can have an umbrella entity and then just post about the market. And if you're reaching your core audience, if you feel like you're not reaching your core audience that attends the markets, then I would try to start something a little different, and maybe separate that out. And then just randomly about the market, not specific events. Yeah, Jenny, it sounds like, without knowing what organization you're under, I would probably recommend starting a separate page. Then you can have the control.
Thank you, Kat, for clarifying that.
Hello, this is Carolyn Kissel.
Mhm.
I work with Cummins Incorporated, and I have been taking care of their farmers market for about 5 years, but we haven't been able to have it the last 2 years because of COVID. I'm trying to bring it back up. We do have our own Facebook page, and I have a group of people that are already, that send me messages. When are you coming back? That are still contacting me, but I wouldn't want them to read my personal page on Facebook because, you know, that's all filled with my kids, grandkids, who knows, whatever's on there. But that could also cause separation, right? Because they're going to say, well, I don't like what she's promoting on her private page and da 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 da. So I've
Right.
always tried to keep them separate for that reason, just so that, but then I will sometimes on my Facebook page copy from the Cummins page and just put it onto mine and say, here, please support this. So I guess, is that crossing that line where I shouldn't do it? I'm not posting for the farmer's market on mine, but I will copy the page just to promote it.
Yeah. Carolyn, I think that's completely acceptable and reasonable. I share all the time, content from the Garfield page to my own page because I have different followers. So personally, so I'm always personally promoting the market. As long as the core information is always on your market page and not on your personal page. That might be where it gets a little muddied. But it sounds like, yeah, you should have a separate dedicated page for the market and not use your own personal platform.
And then you would just like it. So if, when it posts, it will pop up in your feed and then you can share it with your posse of people. And that's how you get new people and you expand to other, it's kind of like the multiplier effect.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I try to do that, and I'm Facebook friends with a lot of the farmers. So even throughout the year that we've not been able to have the market, because we have it downtown Columbus where all the Cummins offices are, but everybody's still home.
Right.
There's only maybe 10-15% of people back at work. So, but I still have, I will copy their pages and, try to put them on the Facebook page just so that I can still kind of promote my farmers, even though we're not doing the market. But
is Cummins involved?
well, we do it in a courtyard. I'm a Cummins employee. I work product certification and compliance, but our focus is environmental sustainability.
Mhm.
And so I'm with that department. And we promote all of our farmers are within 25 miles. So we're trying to put the money back into our own community, support our own farmers. And so that's a big part. We don't have any kind of artisans because it's the environmental sustainability. So it's very focused, but we have a dedicated 6 farmers, meats, chickens, turkeys, all different kinds of things that they do. So we have a big variety that way. Cummins manages it in that I have to, I was a former paralegal. So, I have all the insurance down. I make sure everybody's covered. I do make sure all the paperwork's in line so that we're following, the Department of Health comes out and visits and stuff. So they just kind of expect me to have all that, as long as I have all the legalities taken care of. And then I promote it. I get, I have done a lot of marketing and getting gift cards. I will make a poster every year, go up and down the street to see if they'll post them in their windows, but then ask for a gift certificate. So every week I would have like a $25 gift certificate to Red Lobster and all this other stuff as well. So people would come down to the market just to fill out the prize and then end up buying things as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's
in the door. But Cummins is such a huge organization. I think you could lean into, they've got marketing teams, upon marketing teams. So can you lean into them and ask them to help develop some content and like maybe reassess the brand or just get some general
Right.
content for you to post?
I have tried, but I have been the committed person in this. And
Gotcha.
some people will say, oh, I'd like to be involved, but then they really aren't and they just don't. And because I would like some help. So, I have ads on the radio. I send out a weekly email.
wow.
I have the posters all throughout town because we wanted to, it's open to the public. a lot of people thought it was only for Cummins employees. So I've really grown the market from what it was initially. But I want to be able to grow it further
Right.
and I would like that help.
Sounds like
But
a really dedicated page then.
Yeah.
Maybe get some interns. Maybe you can connect with some of the local universities.
That's a good idea. I hadn't thought about doing the interns. And then also you were talking, someone mentioned for the language barriers, having, you know, somebody from an intern maybe, because we have a lot of people from India and that area, and
Mhm.
it's quite a challenge to communicate sometimes. You
The
know,
other,
used to working at Cummins and needing to, you know, but it's still a language barrier when you start talking about food, because they're used to talking about engines. So they're like, what is
Right.
this fruit? What is that? And it's hard to explain to them, well, this is similar to this, or, you
Right.
know.
well, I think there's room to grow. There's, we're going to be starting, shameless plug for learning circles. And I'm going to be hosting them in the evening, and it's just basically like this session here where people can brainstorm and chat and talk. So, you know, I welcome you to check out the sessions that would be of interest to you to see about how to grow your market. We can also do one around growing your market, just brainstorming different ideas. Online market could also work for you since you don't have an actual physical presence yet. So circle back around and I will be posting, I'll be sending out an email blast for everybody. So I think there's different ways that that could work. And I think we
Yeah,
can
I'm
touch
very
upon.
interested. I know I thought maybe we could do like a pre-order, because a lot of the
Mhm.
farmers do the pre-order thing. And then the other
Definitely,
people
so,
just come and pick up. And I thought, well, maybe we could do something like that and get people back into downtown if they have an order to pick up. But then I
so
thought
I
that
will,
might be complicated. I don't know what software I would need to mesh all that together.
well, I can definitely look into doing a session like a noon webinar on online platforms. So hang on to that, Caroline, and we will circle
Thank
back
you.
around. I do want to honor Ashley's time because we are at 3:20. So basically, thank you, Kat. She put some resources into the chat and I will download it and share it with everybody. So make sure you catch Kat's resource. So that's basically, thank you for participating. It's a wrap for the 2022 Indiana Farmers Market Forum. Please complete our survey that I will be sending out on Thursday. It's a post-event survey. We definitely want your feedback, and please check out our webinars, and we are going to be launching the learning circle. So thank you, everybody. And thank you, Ashley, for doing a fabulous job.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate being with you here today.
Thank you all and have a great rest of the day. Thanks, Ashley. I know you need to run.
Yeah, I got to get my son from school.
Yeah, I need to connect with you about what we talked about. So I'll text you.
Okay, that sounds great, Christina. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye. Bye, everyone.